Legal in 48 states.
It's not legal. Like, if I had a dog, you couldn't shave my dog
Without your permission?
Without my permission. If I say you can do it, then yeah.
Are you trying to say that you own your pets?
Legally, yes.
Who rescued whom?
Are you saying Gigi can shave you? What are you arguing?
I don't know if she has the physical dexterity to do that.
But she could hire a guy.
She doesn't have money. There is that issue.
Next week I'm going to come over with clippers and I'm going to say, "Hey, here's my signed contract."
Just print her paw. Put her paw in a pen of ink. Okay. As we were discussing, I did brush her, but she continues to shed. Whoa. What have you done to her? Did you give her the reverse sneezes?
No, she's talking through the how much money she's going to give me.
You okay, sweetheart? Come here. What's up? Oh, yeah. Please don't vomit on me. Thank you.
Well,
great start to this season of the pod. It's not out yet. It comes out on Sunday. That's going to be episode 1 of season 1. We got 8 eps. We're talking it, lowercase I, uppercase T, colon, welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to say what the premise of the show is, or should I say what the premise of the show is?
Well, my understanding, it's a prequel to the film.
To the second one.
I think it's a prequel to both of them.
It takes place in 1960, which is 3 years after the events of the first one.
No, I don't think so. Let me correct you on
lied
this.
to?
Let me correct you on this, because the book takes place in the 1950s or 1960s when the kids are
57
are young, and then it goes into when they're adults in 1986-ish or something, concurrent to when Stephen King wrote the book.
Okay.
The movie takes place in the first movie, which is just the kids, takes place in 1980s, something like that.
Okay.
And then the adult version takes place when it came out, like 2020 or something like that.
So we're saying this is event 1.
So from the timeline perspective, they took the book and they moved everything back 30 years. So we're going both fronts.
Second film universe.
That's my understanding. And this does a prequel that takes place in 1960s. So from the book standpoint, I'm assuming it's going to be concurrent with the events that are described around like the 1920s or so.
Sure. I read some comments on this about not being super excited about what the story they're trying to tell, because it seems like now we know it's the same people who did the film who are in charge of it. Muschietti is directing at least the first 4 episodes, I think I saw.
Who is that?
He is the writer and director of the films.
Of the second one? The first one was
the new sets.
Was the guy that did True Detective, wasn't it?
Andy Muschietti and Jason Fuchs.
Who? I think the person who did the first film was the same guy that did True Detective season 1.
Well, now I'm going to have to look this up. So you vamp for 5 seconds while I look this up.
Sure. So, of course, this is based on the books, on the films. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about spoilers for the film.
Same director.
And book. As which one?
As both of them.
That's the guy I was thinking of, Carrie.
So he was one of the writers.
Okay.
Of the first one.
And just go ahead and say his name since I can't read it from
Cary Fukunaga.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. That's great to hear. He has no involvement in this one, as far as I know, in the television show. But Andy does, who directed it and wrote the second one. And Fuchs, who also, I think, wrote the second one. Anyways.
And Skarsgård is back
Skarsgård is back
as
playing
Pennywise the clown. It refers to Pennywise the clown, who is.
What?
Are you? Did you read it? You saw the movies, I'm sure.
I have not read it. I should read it. Maybe that will be some homework for me.
I haven't read a bunch of Stephen King. He has put out so many books, but I have read it. And so Pennywise the clown is a manifestation of evil from the Macroverse, who comes down, who is landed in our solar system on our planet, and buried himself deep in Derry, the fictional Maine town. Woke up in the 1700s, and once every 27 years wakes up and
Feasts on some fear.
feasts on fear, and then goes back to sleep again. And of course, it's in the we'll talk timeline from the movie perspective if we could. In like 86-ish or so, he wakes back up to terrorize the kids, and then 27 years later wakes up to terrorize the adults who try and put an end to this great manifestation of evil. But in the book and movie primarily takes place over those two time frames, but there are anecdotes and interludes about times before that.
There's a ton of history that goes back with a bunch of different massacres that happened,
right, on
horrors
those
that
each
happened in the
27
town.
years.
Yep.
So this sounds like it's going to take place the cycle right before our kids that we know from the movies.
Now, it does seem from some previews that there is another group of kids in this one that are going to do battle with it, which in some ways, don't you feel it cheapens the new films, or it cheapens the films in the books?
In what sense?
Well, in the biggest sense being, as I understand it in the book, this is like the first time it really feels any sort of fear and any sort of threat to itself.
I don't have perfect memory of the books or films, but I think that's true.
Yeah. So I always think it's a little weird when people go to a prequel when they could just continue the universe. I know in the It verse, or in the Stephen King universe, Pennywise does show up later.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he shows up in what are some of the later Stephen King's books?
Derry as a city is not really in as many of the famous books as you.
A lot of
as
them
you might
happen
think.
nearby, in cities
Yeah,
that are
he's
nearby.
got-
Castle Rock is nearby.
He has 3 fictional cities: Derry, Castle Rock, and Jerusalem's Lot that he returns
Yeah.
to. And I was looking at the ones that take place in Derry, and it's really, I mean, it is the one you've heard of, and then a whole bunch of ones that, unless you're really deep into the weeds, you're kind of not. Another one that maybe you've heard of is there's some book, and it was made into a TV series, and it's a date from like 63 or something. It's like 11/5/63.
Didn't we talk about watching that, and then it just got canceled before we could even?
I watched it, but I think I did that by myself, and it was not very forward. It was I don't even remember Derry being in it. It was very tangential to the overall plot of that.
Now, we watched Castle Rock and loved it.
Yes.
It does seem to have gotten canceled a little prematurely in my mind. We got 2 seasons out of it. It's my understanding that was the attempt to try to connect all of his universes together loosely. 1922, is that when you're thinking, or 1408?
No, it was a date, like a
Oh, okay.
month. 11/22/63. That's the one.
Okay. I know there are some later ones. Oh, I'm trying to look at it. Dr. Sleep talks about The Shine, because that's the sequel to The Shining.
Correct.
I wanted to get into that because apparently The Shine is this giant connection between all of them. And like The Shining is considered any mental power in the Stephen King universe. And so it's believed that all of the kids and their ability to see through the fact that it is like his illusions is like a form of the Shine, and all of the Losers Club actually have some sort of form of the Shine. So I wonder if we're going to get into that a little bit in this. television show. it was very interesting to me to see that apparently it being this manifestation of the evil called the lights. Does that sound right?
In the book, in the final battle, that's how it's written. Yeah.
Boy, now I can't find the books where he shows up later. Anyways, it apparently does show up later. Apparently, when all the eggs are crushed, he doesn't get to all of them, and that's kind of the biggest explainer that possibly Pennywise returns. He's seen in a couple books later, but only in like a side mention. It's never like he's the main story.
Yeah, a whole bunch of books that I haven't read out, but they're references like somebody will drive through the town,
Yeah.
and there'll be graffiti on the wall that says Pennywise lives or something like that.
Yep, that
So
was one. It was written on the memorial of the water tower that explodes in the end of the second book, or the end of it. And it's literally like it says the Losers Club on the bottom of it. Yeah. I'm not summarizing very well here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have seen at least one article with the headline that they don't enjoy it. We know that there are at least 4 eps. We know that they're making 8, but I know that episode 1 is called The Pilot. So not a lot given to us there.
Do you think that's a reference to some sort of air travel situation?
Well, you do know that Pilot has both I and T's in it.
Oh, shit.
So if you just subtract a few of the letters and rearrange it, you do get it.
Maybe it's a stove thing.
Like somebody left the pilot on?
Or something. I don't know.
Maybe the pilot is similar to the space jockey, and it's just a reference to the creature crashing.
Did you do any research on Derry, the town?
Only in the history of it. And in that all of its different horrors, I read a little bit about each little horror and how Pennywise is seemed to be described in many of them. I know there is some reference to one of the Losers Clubs who doesn't lose his memories until the end, and his dad was able to trace the history a whole bunch. I know there was some history with a lumber union, and one of the members, one of 5 members, get murdered and have union tagged on them, and one of the lumberjacks takes revenge, and then the whole entire town kind of goes after them. And I think it's kind of a recurring theme where Pennywise is able to turn.
Yeah, this is our every 27 years events that you're talking about. Stephen King.
I know it's where he lands, and that was at one point.
Pilot?
That's the pilot. That's where we're getting it. That's where it lands.
Yeah.
Who we learn is a female because they are able to make eggs. What I do wonder is how did this giant spider creature? How are those eggs inseminated? Who's daddy?
I didn't do it.
Is this an accusation?
I wasn't me. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Every accusation is a confession. That's just a random little thought I have about it. But yeah, I am interested to hear more about the history. I guess I just don't know if I would tell a story based on the past. Because I feel like the pieces you need come together in the first 2 movies.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how little stuff takes place in Derry outside of it, which, it is kind of a big one, being probably Stephen King's most famous work with the book, the miniseries, and the 2 movies and everything. But it's going to be interesting to see how much other stuff gets tied in. I am interested in the idea of a wider Stephen King universe, but I'm not sure.
Well, apparently the Dark Tower is where it all is connected.
I was going to ask if you had read that.
I have not read it, but I started to dig into the lore a little bit today, which I will continue to do. I'm sure I will have a couple of days of spiraling. But I know there was it a film or a TV show that came out?
I think there was a film and there was supposed to be more, but it was very bad.
Yeah, apparently they were not very good. It just turned out to be kind of boring fantasy.
And they're behind the 8 ball on something that beloved, and if there really is, the culmination of this, I don't know how many books he's written, but what, 60, something like that. He's written.
I want to say he's
a metric fuck ton of books. So to have all that lore and tie it all together with, to meet the expectations of the fans is going to be a tall drink of water.
Dreamcatcher. That's one of the books. Dreamcatcher 1, and then it was like Scan or something. Where the books where Pennywise's offspring probably lives. I think the problem with Dark Tower that I've seen is that it's kind of used as like it's Stephen King's like little baby. Like that's his main story. That's what he's super proud of. That's his Lord of the Rings. And so I think it's kind of hard to try and capture it all, what's in his head, to do that. And also because it's kind of like the thread that connects everything, you can get lost really fast trying to explain everything quickly, which is, I imagine, what kind of happened with the TV
movie
show.
is not the medium
Yeah.
for something like that necessarily. I looked into Derry a little bit. There's a couple of things that piqued my curiosity. One is Stephen King made the fictional town based on the town he grew up in, Bangor, Maine.
Shocking.
I think it was.
He has an entire obsession with Maine, but yes.
We'll get to that a little bit. He also has a son who's an author, Joe Hill, who's written House Shape Box. He's done a number of comics. He did the entire comics that the Lock and Key series was based on. Very prolific writer in his own right. And I was just listening to an interview with him talking. He sets a bunch of his stuff in Maine as well. And the interviewers asked him about it. Why so much? What do you have with Maine? What's going on up there? And he basically said something to the effect of, we're writing a whole bunch of weird stuff, dragons and demons and all sorts of extra terrestrial, extra, and we're asking the audience to go along for that type of ride. If I can ground it in the setting that feels very lived in and very real, then I'm going to be able to better take the audience to those extra special places that I want to go. If it's grounded in reality, the best way to do that is to center it in a place that I know very well.
That's a good way to explain it. I did read that this is one of the few books that Stephen King has not said what it is based on, because a lot of his stuff is based on other things, which has led some people to believe that it actually happened, which I think is super fun. But the clearest connection is just John Wayne Gacy, like a clown murder who led kids into basements. That was all happening like when Stephen King was a kid, or a younger person, I should say, not a kid.
Which is something that we're against.
We are against. Yes, this pod can stand strong that we are against people dressing up like clowns, killing kids in basements.
Most podcasts are not brave enough to say what you just said.
They will not come out and say it. Some of them who I've talked to believe one way or the other, but they will not say it publicly. But we here at Reduced Capacity Entertainment, content heavy podcast, stand firm,
rooted
against dressing up like a clown, luring kids to their death in your basement.
So I thought, what if I took a look at Maine specifically, since that's where all these things are set? What not to dox us, but we're up here in the upper
Maine.
left. I thought I've never been to Maine. The farthest close spot to there that I've been is Boston.
I was gonna say where did we go near Boston as well? Out on the Hook.
The Cod.
The Cod.
Yeah,
We went to the Cod. That would be the closest, but I would say Boston is probably more Maine than the Cod.
I just sort of figured you get a little bit up north and it's kind of Pacific Northwest-esque. But can I tell you a couple things that I learned about Maine?
I'm here.
Number one, what do you think the population of the state of Maine is?
1.2 million.
Pretty close. It's 1.4 or 1.5. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Which I assume is pretty low.
It's very low. It's one of the least dense states. So instead of it being like, the state of Washington with Seattle in there,
Yep.
why don't we just take the peninsula, that area, and say that's basically what Maine is in terms of the size of this. I think the biggest city is like 30 to 40,000 people.
Okay. So very tiny.
Very tiny,
Relatively.
very small town. Obviously, it's got another 200 years of colonial history
Right.
that we don't have in the upper left. But I was also looking at the demographics, and would you like to guess what percentage of the population is white?
99.4%.
Pretty close. It's about like 90, low 90s,
Okay.
90, 92%. And when I say white, you drill into this, and we're talking about
Colonial history white.
French, Irish, Scottish, English, maybe a little bit of German. We're not getting any of the ones that even get to sniff the Mediterranean outside of outside. I think they're all from the upper part of France. So when we say it's white, it is even white by white standards. About 40% Protestant. I mean, we're talking they came over from the Mayflower, and
We've got daughters of
not a
the
ton.
Mayflower crew hanging out there.
not a ton has changed. So that's the setting in which the King boys are writing these books from,
Okay.
which I found interesting.
Do you know what's there? Do you know their history? I kind of wonder if they're like generations of Maine-born,
I don't know. I didn't take a look at that.
Maine-born, raised, and dead. I think that kind of covers. I just wanted to get in a little bit before we get into it. I'm pretty excited to at least. I like his storytelling, and I like, we love a Skarsgård.
We love a Skarsgård. How many books did you say you've read?
Of Stephen King's?
Yeah.
Probably like 2 or 3 in all
Oh,
honesty.
okay. Which ones?
Cujo is the
Okay.
first that comes to mind. Definitely read Carrie
Okay.
and Christine are probably the 3 that I can think of off the top of my head.
Car Guy to Car Guy.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of those, actually.
Christine shows up in it. It's driven by the zombie that takes the bully from the mental institute when he breaks out in the second set. At least as far as I understand in the old movies.
Okay.
But I know apparently Stephen King he does love to make the weird connections that are literally like in some books the TV show exists, and in his universe there is an alternate version of Stephen King the author who, if he didn't, in his story, if he wasn't alive, if he had died prematurely and wasn't able to finish his story, one of the main characters in the Dark Tower, I believe, won't be able to finish what they're doing because the fictional author would be dead. So he has this weird little like connection to his own stuff, which I think is very based on him being massively influenced by drugs during the 70s and 80s.
He can't help but do this. Did you know he also wrote Running Man?
I do know that.
Under an alias, I think Richard Bachman or something like that.
That was the other thing I was going to say. He has like, I want to say it was his 18th novel under Stephen King,
Right.
but like his 22nd novel that he had written.
And he wrote Running Man trying not to be known as Stephen King.
Right.
Like, not even like a Garth Brooks, Chris Gaines type of situation where we do really know that they are the same guy. He was trying to keep them separated, except that he has one of his characters go through the town of Derry, Maine. And this is pre-internet, but still, it doesn't take that long for people to...
Running Man was written in the 80s?
Something like that.
'Cause I actually love that just in this like, of course I'm getting all the new movie stuff. I love that. I love them going through Derry because I don't think I ever would have caught on to that. 1982.
Yeah.
And it was 1970 something.
I thought it was the 80s.
So 82 was that. It was. Yeah, I just don't know if people would have connected Derry. 1986. That's so it was after.
Yeah,
The Running Man.
but Derry shows up first in like, I don't know, 5 books previous
Okay.
to it. It is not the first book to take place in Derry. It's very much the most famous,
Because if you
but
had,
it's not the first iteration.
if you had asked me before the second movies came out or the redones, I don't think I would have remembered that Derry is where it took place, and having seen the originals. So I could see where in a world, like you said, pre-internet, that it would be. I could see it would light the literature world on fire, but not most people.
Yeah.
Like wouldn't catch that like connection of it. But that's pretty funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like typical though, where you're just like, I want to distance myself from this thing, but I want to drop a little breadcrumb to show how much of a genius I am, so I can be caught later.
What a goofball.
That's Stephen King. What a goofball. Do we want to talk about the scene from the novel that everyone talks about? Do you think the world needs two white guys extra take
I
on?
would love to hear your soliloquy.
I don't really have one other than it seems unnecessary and it seems like he definitely wrote it on drugs. But the more I've read it and listened to some people's conversations on it, it seems less perverted of nature in that he didn't like get too into the details. If that makes sense. So it wasn't pornographic in a way. It was just him trying to write some sort of metaphor for the death of their childhood and got a little carried away. I think there's something very weird about his obsession with female puberty, though. I mean, we see it in his first and most famous novel, Carrie. And then we see it in this with Bev has a lot of contents around growing up.
Yeah. In the book, it's not ridiculously over the top, but it definitely seemed
weird
to me to be wildly out of place within the structure of the story even.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you read something like that and you're like, boy, that really swung at that pitch, didn't you? But even within
Is it one where you like turn back to make sure you didn't like 2 pages weren't stuck together a little bit and you didn't miss?
Even within the story, it felt very jarring. And I don't know, maybe that's on purpose. I don't need to read about kids having sex necessarily. It's not really.
I think it's very typical of a male writer trying to write a female experience. And I think we see it over and over and over again in novels where like the only powerful story for a female character is that they get raped and then they become like they use that to be angry and get revenge on the world. And that's supposed to be like the powerful story.
Yeah.
Anyways, to me.
Oh, yeah. Stay gold.
Stay gold, pony.